Colm O'Rourke and nominate him to lead their attack on the 40. Moving into the firing line on the fringe of the square is Tommy Dowd, who takes up station alongside Brian Stafford and Bernard Flynn. League victors Dublin sprung something of a surprise by choosing centre fielder Dave Foran at full forward, and in the reshuffle Paul Curran joins the other PC, Clark that is, to offer a tongue-twisting midfield. The referee is Tommy Howard from Kildare for this battle of the champions, League champions Dublin against the Leinster champions from Meath. That goes off the chest of Mick Lyons, but Liam Harnan, his cousin, is waiting there for it to knock it into the middle of the field to Colm O'Rourke, getting there ahead of Keith Barr. Keary coming across to present a challenge, played on to Beggy. The return for O'Rourke to knock one invitingly in. Tails away. Back there in the middle of that Dublin defence. Liam Hayes here. Beggy once again challenged by Paul Clark. And that the first foul registered by the referee. Jimmy Barry Murphy, it looks like we're in for another tight battle here between these great Leinster rivals this afternoon.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way, Gerard. It's a game that everybody's looking forward to, and games in the past haven't always been noted for their open football, but maybe if we can get an early score, tensions might pass away and it could really have a classic in football today.
The wind is supporting Dublin in the first half. Brian Stafford with the first free, but not able to make the first score. It's a very strong breeze blowing out of the railway end. Must be worth a couple of points in the half to the team it's backing. And confirmation of that rippling through the national flag. Hayes fists it down. He as far as Keith Barr. Mick Kennedy. Kieran Walsh has left it behind with the challenge, but there was support from Kennedy. Clark steadying himself. Invitingly across towards Jack Sheedy, who moved into top of the right there for a moment. Free into Dublin. Referee indicting Liam Harnan. Falling down on the ball that time and not attempting to play it. Harnan, one of the more experienced players in what is largely experienced Meath team this afternoon. So a couple of metres outside the 20-metre line. Charlie Redmond bidding to give Dublin the first point. It's Dublin 1 point ahead. So the start that Charlie Redmond will have wanted, just to settle down his confidence. Not too much space available up there on Hill 16 this afternoon. Michael McCullum. BJ Gilly couldn't hold on to it. Clark once again. Towards Vinnie Murphy with Terry Ferguson. Harnan trying to grapple for that one. Again, the foul has been noted by Tommy Howard. Having a quick word there with Liam Harnan. All of which presents Charlie Redmond with another opportunity to practice his free-taking. This one 40 metres out. Wind supported straight in front of the goal. Well, they're the kind of chances you need to be taking. It's early stages of the match.
Certainly if Dublin would like to have got over the bar, they're playing quite a strong wind in the first half, and they'd certainly like to be taking all those chances. I think they need to win at half-time leading by 4 or 5 points at least with the breeze, and turning around the second half to face it.
Fisted down by Paul Clark. Jack Sheedy, it invitingly in. Oh, it's a goal! A goal for Dublin. A mistake in the Meath defence. Mick Galvin may well take the credit. I remember him scoring a goal in a major match against Meath a couple of years ago. But this, after just 5 minutes, hit in by Jack Sheedy. What a great first season he's having, this in his championship debut. Watch for Galvin coming across as that was fumbled by Robbie O'Malley, and it trickles in over the line.
It's a tremendous boost for Dublin. They're just a break they need early in the game. Unlike the start Meath got in last year's Leinster final when Colm O'Rourke got an early goal. Mistake by Robbie O'Malley coming across his own goal mouth. And I think in fairness, Robbie O'Malley even knocked it into his own net. If you watch it here, Jack Sheedy gathers the ball very well. Kicks a dangerous ball across the penalty area. In fairness, Robbie O'Malley came across to cover it and deflected. Mick Galvin just knocked it in with his hand. Good play by Mick Galvin, he was in the right spot at the right time.
So with just 5.5 minutes gone, 1-1 for Dublin. Brian Stafford coming across to take this free for that push by McKennedy just a moment ago. Off the post. Come down to Mick Deegan. Fouled. We've had 5 frees so far in the match and just 6 minutes gone. So Meath then with their newly designed strip playing against the wind, and O'Rourke trying to make some headway, but a determined Mick Kennedy firing one forward towards Niall Guyton, who's switched wings. Charlie Redmond actions to take the free quickly. That foul by Kevin Foley, a little bit too quickly. They play away at the other end with Dave Foran there, and McLyon's getting to know one another. Deciding to hop the ball in. That I think because the wrong player took the free and took it from the hands. Jack Sheedy inside to Charlie Redmond. He's got this one on target, and this is a glorious spell for Dublin. Early stages yet, but a second point for Charlie Redmond against the Meath team yet to score.
A very good play there again by Jack Sheedy. It's my first time seeing him play. He looks a very big, strong player, and he's certainly posing problems for Liam Harnan here early on. And I think the Dublin forwards look particularly sharp, and the Meath defenders are going to have to get to grips with this game very quickly, or they're going to be in trouble.
It's a poor kick out. Could have just about gone anywhere. Runs on to Jack Sheedy, full of force and commitment. Left-footed. That's tailing away. A mistake by Michael McQuillan there, who watched last year's clash with the Dubs from the dugout, but this year replaces Donald Smith, who played on that occasion. He'll take maximum care with this one. Again, not a particularly brilliant kick out. Charlie Redmond fetching against Martin O'Connell, who's playing some great football in training. Needs to translate that now onto the match pitch itself. Big Lions breaking it up, going in there. There was a foul. That was by Mick Galvin. We're all wondering whether Dave Foran would or not play as a full forward in this Dublin attack. So far, that's the role he's taking up. That'll be a key duel. Splendid there by Paul Clark. Somehow kept in play by Jack Sheedy, only as far as Robbie O'Malley. Harnan. Meath now need to weather this storm, find some scores themselves, as David Begbie is fouled by Jack Sheedy. Sean Boylan in the background must be quite concerned about this opening. Stood down by Kieran Walsh. Colm O'Rourke, space at a premium. Referee not allowing an advantage. Stauffer then to take Meath's 5th free. Just inside the 45-metre line. The Dublin fans on the hill jeer to their heart's content. So 2 wides each. A game which is really yet to settle down. Gillick against Paul Curran. Now Martin O'Connell nursing it forward towards Tommy Dowd. Big moment for him to play on the full forward line, having made his championship debut this time last year. He commits the foul on Kieran Walsh. That's a move that Meath would be hoping would work out successfully. John O'Leary here, beginning his 12th Leinster Championship campaign, finding Keith Barr. It's had such a good year so far. Nice lateral ball out there to Jack Sheedy, steadying himself, using the wind then. Just misdirected, however, but not too far astray. A new role as well for Dave Foran in there, who's played most of his football in the middle of the field for Dublin. His debut as far back as 1979. Colm O'Rourke has come deep to gather and fouled in the end by Keith Barr. Bernard Flynn trying to contain that ball against Mick Deegan. Tommy Carr driving it back in. Vinnie Murphy. Nick Lyons is grounded by Dave Foran. Murphy had the arm in the air, signalling that it was a victorious shot on his part, but the umpire not concurring.
A great clearance there by Tommy Carr, and I think it was a ball that Vinnie Murphy could even have taken the defenders on and tried and get inside them. It's a high ball dropping in. Vinnie Murphy races onto it. It's dropping in between the defenders here. Vinnie Murphy races in between Mick Lyons and David Foran, and I thought he might have just taken another step there and tried to go around the defender, but Dublin just missed 1 or 2 chances out that need to take all those with the wind behind them.
So Meath yet to score, 12 minutes gone in the first half. This is Stafford, and it's finally put over the bar. Brian Stafford has done it. Finally breaks the Meath deadlock, just 2 days short of his 26th birthday. The Meath fans here on the canal end something to aspire to, and hope that there'll be many more like that. Paul Curran with a bandaged left hand. Niall Guyden, I should say. Curran indeed has a hand injury as well. So Keith Barr will take the free for Dublin. Driven forward towards Dave Foran. Vinnie Murphy going across. Oh, there's a boot thrust out that time, I think by PJ Gillick. And the referee goes back and has a word with him for that. It could have been a very nasty facial injury.
Well, it was a tremendous jump by Vinnie Murphy, and he gathered the ball on the ground, and PJ Gillick just took a wild swing at that. He's very lucky to escape without a booking on that occasion, I think. That's the kind of kick that they can do without.
So Vinnie Murphy just feeling the effects of that challenge. All this while, Charlie Redmond has moved to the free line. So 20 metres out. Point to add to the goal scored by Mick Galvin and make it 1-3 for Dublin, 1 point for Meath. As you made the point, Jimmy, earlier on, they're going to need all these points on the boards heading into a second half and then playing into the wind.
Yes, indeed, the wind is very strong, Ger, and Vinnie Murphy and Jack Sheedy certainly look very sharp up front for Dublin, and if they can get enough of the ball into Vinnie Murphy, he looks like he could prize open this Meath defence.
McQuillan's kick out. Liam Hayes going across there for it, beaten however by Paul Clark. Kevin Foley picking it up here for Meath. Foley once again towards Bernard Flynn. Judges the bounce of the ball well, has to come really deep to contain it. Martin O'Connell. Mick Deegan is the nearest Dublin player. Dropped in towards Tommy Dowd. Colm O'Rourke there as well. O'Rourke who catches it. Kieran Walsh trying to get back. Hayes had moved into an advanced position, and the referee has signalled that it's a penalty. Liam Hayes pushed down, it seemed, in the Dublin rectangle.
Catches a marvellous ball under pressure from the defence. Falls to the ground. He's being tackled, and as he rises, he just spots Liam Hayes slipping inside the defence. Over their heads. Liam Hayes running onto the ball. It's difficult to see, but I think he was held by Charlie Redmond. And I think it's a penalty in fairness. He was just taken away as he got the ball.
And there's a Meath player down injured just as Brian Stafford is shaping up to take the penalty. Tommy Dowd is the player involved. Referee just helping him to his feet. This is what happened from our camera at the other end of the ground. Just as they were getting ready for the penalty, it's Eamon Heary who gives the nudge. Down goes Dowd. 17 minutes into the first half. Brian Stafford against John O'Leary. He's curled it in. An expertly taken penalty. There didn't seem to be a great deal of pace in it, but it was perfectly placed. Charlie Redmond, the one who took down Liam Hayes. The incident once more was before that penalty. Was there a nudge? It was a very slight one, if any. So now 1-3 to 1-1. In a game in which we've had 7 or 16 frees awarded so far.
It's amazing, Jared. Dublin and Meath games, they always seem to throw controversial incidents, and I think in fairness, looking back on it, it was certainly a penalty, and what a beautifully taken penalty was by Brian Stafford. Head down and just rolled into the corner of the net.
So 2 points the difference. Curran coming short for this one from Keith Barr, who's continued his run. Meanwhile, Tommy Carr, Colm O'Rourke trying to get back goal side. Martin O'Connell trying to present a challenge. It's high by Tommy Carr. It's over the bar. The team captain has done it. 3 points between the teams. At the first this afternoon by the wing back. A good adventurous run that, rewarded with a good point at the end.
Yeah, great play by Tommy Carr, and after conceding the goal, it's an important score for Dublin because it gets them back a goal ahead again, and they need just to keep plugging away. If they can hold their heads, they need to take all their points.
Being marked this afternoon by Sean Kelly. PJ Gillick making a fine catch at midfield, rolls it forward now for Tommy Dowd. Against Kieran Walsh, played back to Colm O'Rourke. That goal could have a bearing on this match, a really big bearing at that. So O'Rourke curls it in, but the wind has held it up. It was a misdirected shot initially. Keith Barr, the man who's meant to be marking Colm O'Rourke, the one who fetches it. Liam Hayes, who made his championship debut all of 10 years ago now. It's really one of those percentage games where you minimise your errors to maximise your chances. O'Connell fetching superbly there above the head of Charlie Redmond, crossing his own 65-metre line, running it forward, intended for Dowd, cut out by Deegan instead. Played across over there for Jack Sheedy. He's tripped, and the ball is kicked away by Charlie Redmond. And Attention, it seems, is going to be required for the injured Dublin forward. The referee, meanwhile, has had the notebook out, and there's a booking.
You have Mick Deegan just clearing the ball out the field, and there's a lot of wild tackles flying around this game, and the referee needs to take a grip on it at this stage, and players will have to learn that if they're going to behave like that, they're in danger of being sent off. And I just hope it on this occasion, Liam Harnan, a wild swing, and he can't afford to do that kind of thing at this stage of the game, otherwise Meath will be playing with 14 men very soon.
Only 7 minutes of actual play so far. The clock says 21 minutes, or near to 21 minutes. So really stop-start stuff. You never expect a classic when Dublin and Meath play, yet it's always one of the most talked about matches of the year. Two of the 3 best football teams in the country, I think, right now in action here. As Vinnie Murphy turns it back into the path of Niall Guyden, who scored 4 points in the league here against Meath. That's Curran with the snapshot, and it's over the bar. Paul Curran of Thomas Davis and Tala getting his first score of the afternoon. So now 1-5 to 1-1. Niall Guyden, the player who set it up here, Jimmy.
Yeah, very good pass by Niall Guyden, again out to Paul Curran, and Dublin in fairness are using the ball very well, and kicks a very good point. Dublin certainly are taking their chances as they come at the moment.
Charlie Redmond again, opening up the play. Guyden getting the fingertips to it, and McQuillan deciding not to let the ball go out. In the end, it seems that it may have gone off the fingers of Kevin Foley just before the Dubliner got the touch to it. In any case, it's a 45. So a real battling performance by both teams. Dublin will be the happier, however. Meath with just 1 point from play to add to that penalty scored by Brian Stafford. That's the angle now presented to Charlie Redmond. 3 points his tally so far. Unable to add to it. Of course, whoever wins this match this afternoon would be hot favourites to go on and take the Leinster title and probably reach the All-Ireland final as well. As you can imagine, teams like Offaly, Wicklow and Kildare will have other views about that, as PJ Gillick is adjudged to a foul Charlie Redmond. So it's going to be Charlie Redmond again who will drop that ball in towards Niall Guyden and his colleagues. Going for a point. Magnificently caught by Redmond. His best strike so far. From the farthest distance out. Clare has really worked hard to cement his place in this highly mobile Dublin attack.
Jerry, it's significant at this stage that the Meath half-forward line are having to come right back into midfield, looking for possession, and Colm O'Rourke and David Beggy, they're not really seeing much of the ball, and they haven't been able to get into their inside forward line at all. So they need to try winning the ball in the middle of the field and bring their forwards into the game. Michael
McQuillan is not exactly at ease in his kicking out so far. Dave Foran is making life just a little bit rough for him by trying to go in. That's for the second time now against Mick Lyons. And the referee has finally decided that Foran was not the requisite distance back. Wind in his face then. This is a much better one. Eamon Heary has dropped it down to David Beggy, trying to make inroads. Colm O'Rourke's beside him. Still Beggy, always good for a couple of scores from this Meath half-forward line. What a good run forward. Finally fouled, maybe once or maybe 3 times. And on the 20-metre line, it's going to be Brian Stafford who will come to try and plant this one over the bar following that very good run by David Beggy. Well, something of a rugby star over in Edinburgh where he's employed, and of course a Gaelic football star back here. So Brian Stafford, 1 goal and 2 points for Brian Stafford in the afternoon so far. 10 minutes to go to half-time. So just 4 points between the teams. And you just wonder what kind of a margin Dublin will have to have amassed by the half-time break to be comfortable for the second half. Curran again against Colm O'Rourke. O'Rourke playing in his 42nd championship match this afternoon, equalling the record of Joe Castle's. Castle's missing from the championship for the first time since 1973. Meanwhile, Charlie Redmond pops over his 5th point. This is a glorious spell for the Erin's Isle man.
Again, it's a good challenge here by Keith Barrett. Ball he could have lost, it broke loose, knocked across by Vinnie Murphy, snapped up by Niall Guyton, who again spots the loose man outside him. Flicks a very good ball out to Charlie Redmond, and lovely angled kick over the bar.
Interesting about that, Jimmy, he didn't even think about it, he just hit it on instinct.
Yeah, he's certainly getting into a groove now. He's kicked some very good frees, and his confidence is certainly on the up and up.
Liam Hayes. Meath will be looking for Hayes and Gillick to give them something of a command in midfield, something which they have not enjoyed so far. O'Connell running onto that one in a 50-50 ball there with Mick Kennedy, and so it seemed. The referee has decided it's a trip. Free into Meath. Paul Clark waiting as Brian Stafford is summing up his options. Hit low, and in towards Bernard Flynn, but it's Mick Deegan who gets there first, realising the danger. Snapshot out of defence, well held by Mick Galvin. It's the challenge of Liam Harnan, joined by Robbie O'Malley, taking the return from Charlie Redmond. That's the 45-metre line. This is still Galvin, the goal scorer for Dublin, that is. And the wind just doesn't carry it in. Dublin now with 6 wides from the first half, Meath with 2. Liam Hayes against Paul Clark. Fisted down by the Dubliner, but only as far as the waiting Kevin Foley. Going to ground from the challenge by Jack Sheedy. Liam Harnan going to be the free taker. Meath making a switch, and Terry Ferguson is now marking Charlie Redmond. Martin O'Connell is dropped back into the full-back line. Tommy Carr, meanwhile, under pressure. Aidan and abetting now. And there's a little tussle breaking up in the centre of the field here. Mick Galvin, one of the players involved, the Dubliner, and I think it's Robbie O'Malley is the other. Another little friendly confrontation as they get to know one another. There are always flashpoints and heated moments and heated exchanges in matches between these teams. So the notebook out once again. David Beggy just checking out what the referee's planning to do.
I think the ball was actually being passed. They were nowhere near the ball. I think that Robbie O'Malley was actually holding on to Mick Galvin as if anticipating he was going to get a pass, and the referee just happened to be on the spot to judge the wrestling game.
He was form of breakdancing, really. Nobody was hurt or harmed.
There was nothing vicious in the incident, but I think it's just symptomatic of the type of game we've been having. There are a lot of incidents on and off the ball, and the referee will have to take action soon because the game is being ruined by it.
Well, Sean Boylan has been in to offer a word of advice to Liam Harnan. He's marking Jack Sheedy. While the lecture goes on here from Tommy Howard, the players will surely remain on the field. Charlie Redmond has been moved now into right corner forward by Dublin. Terry Ferguson has followed him, leaving Martin O'Connell out in the half line. In fact, Martin O'Connell has been given the job of picking up Vinnie Murphy, so it's a slightly reshaped Meath full-back line. Niall Guyden, left half forward, dropping one in, taken by Terry Ferguson with some aplomb, challenged but fouled by Vinnie Murphy, who claims it was a fair shoulder. So O'Connell now operating from right corner back. Five minutes to go, just a little under to half-time. Remember, it's Dublin 1-7, Meath 1-2. Colm O'Rourke. Fouled by Keith Barr, taking the free himself onto the on-running Liam Hayes. Put it neatly inside. This is Tommy Dowd, dashing forward, stopped by Kieran Walsh. Holds it up just momentarily, looking for support. Not a good ball. Selling a puck really to David Beggy. Here he was the one that came in. He was fouled by Colm O'Rourke, who started all of that with the pass on to Liam Hayes.
Poor ball by Tommy Dowd there across the face of the goal. Very loose play. After excellent work by both Liam Hayes and Colm O'Rourke. They're working hard to try and bring Meath into the game, but they simply can't get enough of the ball around the middle of the field to make an impact.
It's Vinnie Murphy. It's fisted outside there despite the challenge of Martin O'Connell to Paul Curran. Charlie Redmond was free, just took his eye off it. A good challenge by Sean Kelly. PJ Gillick blocked down smartly by Tommy Carr to Vinnie Murphy. Prods it with the outside of the boot, didn't quite have enough weight in the shot, however. Robbie O'Malley. Meath will need the half-time break just to get their discipline going once again. From time to time they've looked just a little bit ragged. Blocked down well, despite the intended pass by Niall Guyden, so it's another 45. If you look at the shape of the pitch just now, most of the players are in the Meath half of the field. The value of that penalty might yet be seen before this game is over, because it's allowed me to stay very much in touch, just 5 points adrift, having the aid of that very strong wind for the second 35 minutes. So this 45 by Charlie Redmond is particularly crucial to open up a wider gap. It's tailed away, however. Dublin's 7th wide and 33 minutes gone.
It's a bad wide for Dublin at this stage of the game. It's the one they needed. 5 points is a minimum lead they'd need going into at half-time, I think, and these wides could be costly yet. But they certainly seem to be playing better than Meath at the moment. They're opening the play up better, and they've got some excellent scores from play when they've worked the ball in. But they just had 2 or 3 bad wides in a row there now at a vital stage.
You'll gather the hill is absolutely packed, whereas there are some spaces here and there in the Cusack stand across on the far side, which of course was the bookable part of Croke Park. Sean Kelly making a bit more of an impression now in the last couple of minutes, is fouled. Kelly, who's a Christian brother, watches as the free is taken by Martin O'Connell, comes out to Colm O'Rourke, taking that shoulder with comfort against Mick Kennedy, unable to find the target. So just one player has scored for Meath in the first half so far, that Brian Stafford. Keith Barr fisted that one over the head of Colm O'Rourke. The referee perfectly positioned to agree with his linesman that it should indeed be a Meath ball. William Harnett looking for another point or two before half-time, kicked into space. John O'Leary had plenty of time to come and collect this one. To Charlie Redmond. He's had a good first half. And as always, when you say something like that, he kicks the ball out of play.
He certainly had a very good game of wing forward, Jordan. He's been the most important player for Dublin this first half, and that he's given him a nice cushion But I can't understand Meath there. They won a line ball and a long delivery in towards the Dublin goal, and there's simply no full forward inside waiting to make an effort to gather it. But they need to get somebody in near the goal, and I just wonder would Colm O'Rourke be better employed closer to goal in the second half.
The loss of Colm Brady from midfield has certainly been a loss. Likewise, Jerry McEntee. It's upset the balance of the team to an extent, as Tommy Dow, who says it having a miserable time with it full forward, has given that ball away yet again. Paul Clark, so composed and assured, outside Tahiri. Driven forward towards Dave Foran. Pulling down McLyons. Two of the near veteran campaigners in top-flight Gaelic football today. So in injury time in the first half. Three towards Colm O'Rourke, pushed by Keith Barr, spotted by the referee. O'Rourke the free taker, and the referee sounds the whistle at the end of the opening 35 minutes, and 5 would seem to be the key figure from the first half. 5 points separating the teams at half-time. 5 points scored by Charlie Redmond in the opening 35 minutes, and their goal coming in the 5th minute from Mick Galvin. Brian Stafford was the one who replied with a goal and 2 points for Meath. So we're looking forward to an eventful second half, as always, when Dublin and Meath clash at Croke Park in major matches. But half-time, Dublin 1-7, Meath 1-2. So at the start of the second half, Meath forced into change. Sean Kelly here has gone into midfield. PJ Gillick has gone full forward. Tommy Dowd is left half forward, and Bernard Flynn here and Brian Stafford have switched wings. That's Colm O'Rourke. They'll look for the first score of the second half. They failed to get it. Colm O'Rourke highly annoyed with himself. In the opening 35 minutes, in fact the referee allowed 35 minutes and 50 seconds to go. We make it just about 14 minutes of actual play. So 1-7 to 1-2. He is now trying to claw back that 5-point gap. Colm O'Rourke leading the way. Giving it away on this occasion to Eamon Heary. Driven with the left boot down towards Vinnie Murphy, prodding it forward over the head of Martin O'Connell. He doesn't look at his most assured so far in this game. The angle is tight. So Dublin's first wide of the second half. They're 8th in all against 4 for Meath. Total of 27 frees awarded in the first half. Liam Hayes now. Keith Barr waiting for it. Knocked in by Bernard Flynn. Paul Clark trying to make it his. David Beggy held by Eamon Heary. Gillick trying to hold on to it. Keith Barr going back, trying to get a piece of the action. McKennedy there. Again, the boot thrust out. And for the second time in the match, the referee has had to have a word with PJ Gillick, but there was no booking. It was an instinctive thing on this occasion, nothing malicious. Jimmy Kennedy felt it.
Any possession and Meath get, they seem to be giving it away very easily. Quick free taken there by David Beggy, and the forwards inside weren't even ready for it, with the fact that the defender was first out to the ball and knocked it away. I think they've got to make better use of their possession and try and bring their forwards into the game more.
It was Robbie O'Malley who got the fist on that one. Paul Clark, the taker of the line ball. Martin O'Connell holds onto it securely. It's got the attention of Vinnie Murphy. The attempted block doesn't work. It's fisted away by Keith Barr, having quite a battle with Colm O'Rourke. David Beggy now pushing it forward. PJ Gillick. Can he be the man to inspire them from full forward? Kelly on to Bernard Flynn. Great shoulder from McKennedy. Still Flynn, half blocked again. Claimed inside there, eventually by Paul Curran. the midfield player back there helping his full back line is robbed by David Beggy, and it's Tommy Dowd who kicks it and he puts it over the bar. What he couldn't do from the full forward position he's done since switch to left half forward. So Meath getting the first point of the second 35 minutes.
There's tremendous defence there by Dublin, and you can see Paul Curran had a chance to clear the ball here, but he should have cleared the ball. He overplayed it and knocked away from him very well. Tommy Dowd kicks into a nice angle point. Important score for me, that.
4 between them. Early stages of the second half, and David Beggy cops a high one there from Charlie Redmond. Barna with the free. In towards Colm O'Rourke. Again, it's Keith Barr who gets the measure of Colm O'Rourke. McDeegan. Only as far as Liam Hayes. Bernard Flynn calling for it. The pass supplied to the number 15. And Meath with a second point and a real business-like approach. They look really purposeful at the start of the second half. Flynn's first point of the match, and the full forward line that started out the game, the only ones who've scored for Meath so far.
That's better play by Meath. It's significant now that Liam Hayes is starting to make a major contribution at centre field. Meath were virtually anonymous in the middle of the field for the first half, but if Hayes can come into this game, he's a man that can win a lot of possession for them and bring their forwards into it.
Here he is again, right on cue. This is a glorious spell now by Meath, having weathered so much of the Dublin attacks in the first half. Tommy Dowd now, a little solo against Mick Kennedy, setting it up for David Beggy, trying to get through with Paul Cork in there. He's kicked it wide. It was a really good chance, but they set all of that up through their own determination and through a great fetch from midfield initially by Liam Hayes. Colm O'Rourke, I'm sure he heard a call there from Sean Kelly, but it's Keith Barr who nips in. The roving centre half back who's got pace. Robbie O'Malley in pursuit down that line. What a great run forward. Well delivered inside. McQuillan challenged by Dave Foran, fouled. Well, that was an inspiring run by Keith Barr. McQuillan doing well to take the ball at the near post.
Great run by Keith Barr there, but just as Vinnie Murphy did earlier, kicking wide from a very difficult angle, Dublin need to find their men in those positions and keep pressure on Meath, especially with the wind playing such a factor at this stage.
Well, Hayes has been such an inspiration for Meath down the years, having stepped out of minor in 1981 to take up the senior Spurs. This is a big occasion for him. There have been so many like that. Well, they've come out for the second half as though some of the senior lieutenants in this Meath team seem to believe that it's now or never for them. There were suggestions that players might think about retirement if they were to lose here. Kennedy. Sheedy and Harnan. Expertly fielded by the Dublin number 11. Fed outside to Paul Corran. A real nippy player. Gets by the challenge of Robbie O'Malley. Ball sails in. Lyons is under it. So two or three Dubliners, but it's Lyons who takes it. That's a tremendous fetch by the fullback. And the referee has gone in and he's talking to Mick Lyons for clearly something that happened after he'd made the intervention and cleared the ball away. Well, that's a great pity, because it was a super piece of fullback play. And the player who's lying down injured looks to be Charlie Redmond or Niall Guyden. I think it's Redmond as the player who's taken the injury. The referee still speaking to Mick Lyons.
It was a fantastic catch by Mick Lyons, Germany. He got a fair shoulder charge from Charlie Redmond just as he cleared the ball, and just after he released, I think he swung wildly and hit Charlie Redmond into the head. I think The referee is really being lenient. Mick Lyons is a very lucky man to stay on the field after that.
4 bookings in the game, 3 of them for Meath, 3 of them in their defence. Lyons, O'Malley and Harnan. Well, what should have been a clearance by Mick Lyons, and a moment of celebration for the Meath fans, is now a pressure point once more. On the 20-metre line, the referee, Tommy Hart, to throw this ball in. Ferguson and Charlie Redmond nudging it forward outside to Dave Foran to keep the pressure on the beleaguered Meath defence. Foran against Mick Lyons, spills loose to Terry Ferguson. Going to ground there, fouled.
It was an amazing decision by the referee there, Gerard. He put Mick Lyons. He awarded a hot ball on the 21-yard line. I think it certainly should have been a free into Dublin, and it could be a vital score, this, or would have been a vital score if they had got it.
Dublin, remember, yet to score in the second half, which is now 9 minutes old. Hayes really showing his true colours now. To Tommy Dowd, operating with great effect out around the 40. Well, all except for that final shot. Clark. That's Redmond against Ferguson. So the pressure remains on Robbie O'Malley's team of defenders back there.
It's an important kick now for Dublin and Charlie Redmond. They've just been out of the game for the last 6 or 7 minutes after a tremendous burst by Liam Hayes in particular has brought Meath well back into this game. I think if Charlie Redmond can start this over, it'll give Dublin that bit of breathing space again.
Round about 35 metres out. Wind into his face. Can this be Dublin's first score of the second half? Not so, the umpire decrees. Charlie curses his luck. So it remains Dublin 1-7, Meath 1-4. Paul Curran was upset, I think, slightly there by Dave Foran, who's gone out into the middle of the field. It spills loose anyway to Charlie Redmond. Played on to Curran. There's a scoring chance here for Curran. The referee says no advantage allowed. A foul on Charlie Redmond, who's really been in the wars in the second half, in need of attention for the second time in the space of about 3 minutes. It was just looking good, and Paul Curran was in the thick of the action again.
Good burst through the middle again by Charlie Redmond. Releases the ball into Paul Curran, but it's a late tackle on Charlie Redmond. And again, another pressure kick for Charlie Redmond. He's just had a bad knock on him, wondering, are they going to give him a rest from taking this free? I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Sheedy has a go at this one. He got a vital point against Kildare in the league final, and he might have a go off this one with his left leg.
Hasn't scored in the match, but he's made a great contribution. So for that foul by Liam Harnan on Charlie Redmond, and this be Sheedy's first point. It's a good angle, and he's slotted it over nonchalantly. So Dublin off the mark for the second half. A half which is now 12 minutes old.
I just get the feeling this as Dublin might have weathered the Meath storm, although they'll need to keep the pressure up as I said, Liam Hayes is really storming into the game, and if Dublin are using the ball much better into their forward line, and Meath are starting to concede too many frees.
This is Hearing against Colm O'Rourke. Dublin looking that's a little bit fresher. David Beggy, a smash and grab operator, to Terry Ferguson. Through the centre, Dowd misplaced, however, to take that one. Tommy Dowd, his marker. Fed outside to Paul Clark, the elegant midfielder, against Gillick, who's drifted back from full forward out into the centre again. Robbie O'Malley just teeing this one up. Hayes to Stafford, It's curled in with the left boot. A goal and 3 points now. And the referee going in to have the word there with Liam Hayes. Well, from time to time, the game just hotting up, as it always seems to happen when these two great rivals from Leinster meet. So Dave Foran becomes the second Dubliner to have his name recorded. And Liam Hayes standing by as well. It's been mostly fouls of a niggling nature. So the big man from screen also has his name recorded. Tommy Dowd against Tommy Carr. And Dowd adjudged to have pushed Carr. Free to be taken by one of the game's best dead ball kickers of a ball, Keith Barr. Hayes lets that one sail over the head, but he gets a favourable bounce as it comes back to him. To Colm O'Rourke, to Tommy Dowd again. He's really taking Tommy Carr out of position repeatedly. Bernard Flynn trying to set up Colm O'Rourke. Number 3 points the margin. Held by Keith Barr, and hardly for the first time in the match. Well, if the referee were to send players off for persistent fouling in this match, we'd be down to about 12 players each. Stafford the taker. He's curled in wide. Dublin with 9 wides, Meath now with 7.
Significant miss there. You'd normally expect Brian Stafford to so deadly to score from that range, and it's an important one for Meath in that they need to get all those chances. They're not playing all that well, they're fighting hard, just clawing their way back into the game, and they need to take all those chances if they're to win this one.
O'Connell goes off McKennedy. Kennedy protests it should be going the other way, but the referee Tommy Howard is not impressed. Hit in field. BJ Gillick from a tight angle out, and he sails this one over the crossbar, and there's now just 2 points between the teams. Gillick's first points, it's moving into the fringe of the square. Well, they say you can never put a Meath team down. They have great willingness to win, they play well as a unit, and as they say in County Kerry, they have the 3 Ds: determination, dedication and the will to win. It's backwards Tommy Dowd. Looking for support. Prepared to go it alone again. And I think it's just tailed away at the end. It left his boot, it seemed to be well directed.
Unlucky there, Tommy Dowd. He certainly had a transformation on this side when he came out in the half-forward line. He was at a very poor game in the first half at full forward, but his tearaway running, he's giving Tommy Carr a nightmare in the second half, and in fairness, he's helping to bring Meath back into the game.
Dublin with just 1 point in the second half so far, Meath with 4. Largely due to the intervention of Liam Hayes at midfield. It's from Beggy onto Bernard Flynn. Can he take this game by the scruff of the neck? It may happen yet. He's got a second point. A player who now plays his championship football at club level with St Joseph's and County Laois. Makes it 1-8 to 1-7. 18 minutes into the second half. This is going to go right down to the wire.
Fantastic score by Bernard Flynn off his left leg, and it's an example that any young player, he can either leg, right leg or left leg, it doesn't matter, he just turns it over the bar. It's a marvellous score for Meath.
Well, we asked the question during the first half whether a 5-point difference for Dublin leading with the win was going to be enough. Meath would seem to have their answer as Sean Kelly takes it down, drops it, supported by that great support of the midfielders. Colm O'Rourke from Gillick on to Beggy. Two players who emerged on the Meath team at roughly the same time. Beggy looking for an equaliser. Not just now. Both sides now with the same tally of wides. Kick out taken quickly. The measured build-up by Dublin. Jack Sheedy. Who's to emerge from this tie and face Wicklow in the second round? That's Kevin Foley. Challenged by Charlie Redmond. Drops down to Liam Harnan. Belted, but only as far as Mick Kennedy. Perfectly positioned. Stafford was nowhere to present a challenge. Heary. Kennedy wanted the return ball. Fouled by Colm O'Rourke. Keith Barr, the free taker. Vinnie Murphy hasn't seen much of the action so far, but he's received the push from Robbie O'Malley. And that's Paul Beelan, a midfield player who's been prepared on the far side for Dublin. Pat O'Neill there and Paddy Cullen with some words of advice for the midfielder. Dublin needing a lift. Jack Sheedy hoping to add to the points he scored in the second half already. Across to Charlie Redmond. Driven over with fierce determination by Charlie. So 6 points now for the Erin's Isle man. So that's 2 points for Dublin in the second half. And Beelan is in the action as Charlie Redmond gets that little elbow from Harnan.
Quick thinking there by Jack Sheedy again. A very difficult angle for the free, and he spotted Charlie Redmond loose and slotted over a lovely point. It's significant that Dublin are making changes in the middle of the field. Jack Sheedy has been brought out there to try and curb Meath's influence at this stage, and they'll have to get a grip there again because Meath are certainly thundering into this game.
So Foran has made his exit, and Jack Sheedy, as he has done in some league matches in the course of the spring, in the middle, as you say. Tommy Dowd promises so much. Can he deliver? Sean Kelly here. Played against Laois in the championship last year. He certainly has. He's stuck it over the bar. So it's now 1-9 to 1-8. Sean Kelly's first point. Just over 14 minutes remaining.
Great play here again by Tommy Dowd, who's battling his heart out for Meath and releases the ball at just the right time to Sean Kelly. And what a time to get your first point in the game.
He looked off balance, but he stuck it over. Beelan straight in the action against Liam Hayes. Clearly the Dublin selectors were not impressed with the way their team had been shaping up in the middle, giving second best to Liam Hayes for the 22 minutes of the second half we've had so far. So a battle now which would do justice to a Leinster final. Barr played inside, and that's Vinnie Murphy, and that's gone over. Just his first point this afternoon at a critical time in the match. 2 points the difference. That's
a sign of a class player when you can pull a score out like that just when you need it. Fantastic free kick by Keith Barr, and a tremendous lead by Vinnie Murphy. Not a big man, but a marvellous fetch and a tremendous score, and that's one that could lift Dublin.
A difficult catch to take. There were so many players going up for that one. Paul Clark blocked superbly by Martin O'Connell. Charlie Redmond, however, reading the intentions. Curran has remained forward there in the top of the right position against Terry Ferguson. Colm O'Rourke has come deeper and deeper, pursued by Keith Barr. Paul Beelan now is on Liam Hayes in the middle of the field. Jack Sheedy there against Sean Kelly. Liam Harnan under pressure there from Charlie Redmond, who's moved into great effect on the 40 in the absence now of Jack Sheedy. Warming up, as you see, Pádraig Doherty. that's come down to the middle of the field in the last 5 minutes. Robbie O'Malley, full of commitment. Terry Ferguson slammed down. Redmond really making no attempt to play that ball. One of the ills of Gaelic football, sadly. Our play is flat fractured and we have free after free. Deegan under some pressure, and he's hand passed it back to Bernard Flynn. He can round the defence. A snapshot from Flynn as it was gifted to him by Mick Deegan, his third point. So 1 point the margin. And a double substitution being made in the centre of the field as we watch this point again by Bernard Flynn. Tell you about the substitutions in a minute.
Actually, Mick Deegan happened to knock it away from his own defender, and Bernard Flynn is very accurate and he doesn't miss from those distances.
The changes show Pádraig Doherty on for Mick Galvin for Dublin, and Colm Coyle has come into the Meath team. Didn't see who made it. Martin O'Connell indeed is the one who's gone off. Just over 10.5 minutes remaining. Superbly fetched again by Hayes, getting second wind, driven down defiantly, touchdown superbly by Bernard Flynn to Stafford, trying to chip the goalkeeper but he put it over the crossbar. A well-worked point by Meath, and Brian Stafford with a goal and 4 points now. They're level again, 1-10 for Dublin, 1-10 for Meath.
Brilliant play here again by Meath. Liam Hayes kicks a high ball in towards the square. Lovely knockdown by Bernard Flynn to the player waiting in space, and Brian Stafford kicks a beautiful point with his left leg. He's had a deadly accurate afternoon. He hasn't missed anything that he's got in the second half.
Just for a minute there, the crowd, I think, felt that he might be trying to chip the goalkeeper. I'm happy with his point. So a gripping challenge presented by both teams in this second half. What a shame there should have to be a loser. Keith Barr, the free taker. Paul Curran taking it against Terry Ferguson. A good solo forward. Colm Coyle trying to get in with a challenge. The shot, and it's gone over the bar. We're really seeing some superb football, some great scores from both teams. And that's Paul Curran's second point.
Great score by Paul Curran, and again he's moving in towards the end line. It's a very difficult angle, but he has the courage to go for a shot. And it's a great sign to see a player at this stage of the game taking the game by the scruff of the neck and getting a vital score like that.
So Dublin by 1. Broken down, Kevin Foley advancing. Switched in to Colm O'Rourke, 45 metres out, he collided accidentally with David Beggy. Well, the referee has given it as a free out, but there was an accidental collision there. And Keith Barr, the injured player, I certainly didn't see any attempt to deliberately injure Keith Barr that time, as Colm O'Rourke was winding himself up for the shot at goal. He collided with his own man David Beggy, and perhaps the meat in the sandwich, we'll see it again here, was Keith Barr.
As Kevin Foley releases the ball out to Colm O'Rourke, and just as he's about to kick, his own player runs across him, kicks him in the leg, and it bounces up into Colm O'Rourke's hands. I don't think that was a free out to Dublin.
Well, perhaps the referee was blowing for the pick off the ground. That's the only thing I could see there. It's a very curious one again.
It certainly seemed to bounce into his hands without rolling off the ground, and Colm O'Rourke didn't appear to pick it off the ground.
The supporters of both teams trying to rally their side now with 8 minutes to go. It was a championship match everybody had looked forward to when the draw was made back last autumn, and in the second half it has certainly lived up to its billing. Stafford on to Tommy Dowd against Tommy Carr. Carr having a very hectic afternoon trying to contain this live wire. Here he is beaten by the challenge, and it's put over the bar by a very industrious and hard-working Tommy Dowd. 2 points his contribution, and the sides level once more. Well, whoever wins this one.
Great play here again by Tommy Dowd. He's certainly proving a thorn in Dublin's flesh in the second half. He actually lost the ball here on this occasion, but he had the courage to take the man on the side again, and that's the type of things you've got to do in that situation. Meath need a score badly. It's a difficult angle, but he manages to get it over the bar from that distance.
John O'Leary kicking out. Sean Kelly got the fist to it. Paul Beelan runs onto it. Held. Free to Dublin. It'll suit Keith Barr, who's come deep to take this one, if indeed he's to be the player who'll kick it. Having the word there with Charlie Redmond as Liam Harnan is back in the thick of that Meath defence. Well, Charlie Redmond, his confidence sky high this afternoon, having made a very good start to the game. That's the 45-metre line. Breeze against him, however. Well, the elements and the fates didn't intervene in his favour. It touched the defender and it's gone for a 45. May well have been Robbie O'Malley, the last man who touched that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Sheedy gets a go off this one. He kicked 2 excellent frees prior to that, and maybe he'd like to have another shot at this one. No, he's not. I think Charlie Redmond's going to fancy his chances again.
Charlie's first everything in the second half. Oh, well, he has played really well. 111 then against 111. The winners to place Wicklow in 2 weeks' time. If there were to be a replay, one assumes that would be next Sunday. He's caught it well. It's well directed, and Dublin have got in front. Just over 5 minutes to go with Charlie's 7th point this afternoon.
It really was a pressure kick, and he certainly responded to the challenge. Tremendous kick at a vital stage of the game, but it's really up for grabs and it's anybody's game. I wouldn't rule Meath out. They're going to get a chance before the end of the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get which way this game will go yet.
Paul Beelan was jostling against Liam Hayes, pushed in the back, and Hayes rewarded with the free, which Liam Harnan's going to take. Ryan Stafford unable to contain it. McKennedy getting a knock into the sideline. Well, it's going to be hard to pick a man of the match, Jimmy, from this one, but some of the names that have impressed you?
Well, certainly in the second half, Liam Hayes has managed to haul Meath back into this game with a towering performance at centre field. Brian Stafford, the corner forward, has got some magnificent scores and kept them in touch. And Charlie Redmond for Dublin played very well along with Paul Curran. So there's all to play for yet, I think.
Well, there is kick out. The wind has got it. Keith Barr responds. He's had a good game as well. Beelan. Round the Colm O'Rourke. Driven defiantly down towards Vinnie Murphy. Warwick Doherty's moved inside. Murphy holding it up to Charlie Redmond. Beaten by Liam Harnan. Stuck to his task superbly. And then they jostle on the ground. The referee's whistle has sounded. They can't have failed to hear it. And Charlie Redmond has presented Meath with a slightly more favourable angle and distance. Off the ball, Tommy Dowd went down, being marked by Heary. Gave a little nudge to Heary as that free was taken, I can tell you. Colm O'Rourke, 45 metres out, high up into the clouds. John O'Leary there against Brian Stafford, fisted it, a 45. Tension-filled minutes now. On my watch, 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. Dublin 112, Meath 111. Who's to win it? Referee's attention has been called by one of the umpires. This 45 is going to be taken by Brian Stafford, who's kicked some 90 points in the past in front of an attendance of 51,144. This a key one. His side trailing by a point. And he's put it wide. It was a difficult kick from 45 metres out. But my goodness, it was an important one. Meath with 11 wides. And 8 of those coming in the second half. Dublin with 10, 3 in the second half. And the roar now from the crowd signals the arrival of Dublin's third substitute, and that's Kieran Duff. Duff comes in, and Niall Guyden, as he's done for the last couple of matches, makes his way off.
that could be a good substitution for Dublin. Kieran Duff is noted for his ball carrying abilities. I think that's what Dublin need at this stage, somebody just to get on the ball and carry it into the Meath defence. But Gerald odds a draw at this stage.
Possession vital in the middle. It drops down to Eamon Heary, who's battled bravely from left half back and occasionally has moved into the centre and got some good possession. Well, Dublin now can afford to stall on this free and waste up a couple of valuable seconds. A minute and 15 seconds to go. Dublin, remember, 1-12. Meath, the Leinster champions, 1-11. Keith Barr. He's gone back about 25 metres to run onto this one. Like an Olympic athlete, he sprints onto it, belts it. Liam Hayes under it, drops it down. Mick Lyons calling, Robbie O'Malley claiming. Challenged by Charlie Redmond, 13 metres out. Referee decides to whistle up the play. There's a Dublin player down injured in front of the Meath goal. Doherty, I think, is the player who's picked up the injury, the substitute midway through this second half. So the seconds tick on, and as the game heads towards the last 32nd period, Dublin clinging on to their 1-point advantage.
That's a tremendous second half of football, and I think the people who catered to see this game will be well pleased. We got the second half that everybody wanted, and it's still anybody's game at this stage, and I wouldn't be surprised Meath are a point behind, but surely you'll always nearly get one chance before the end of the game to tie it up, and there's still time for them to get a draw.
Meath have scored 9 points in the second half. Dublin have scored 5 as Doherty picks himself off the ground. The 5 that Dublin score is identical to Meath's first half tally, playing against the wind, 1 goal and 2 points. McQuillan with the free. An important catch by Jack Sheedy to keep the pressure now down on the Meath backs. Keith Barr waiting, expecting it to come his way off the fingertips of Liam Harnan. We're 25 seconds into injury time. It's now up to the referee Tommy Howard. Touchdown. Terry Ferguson waiting. Despairing challenge coming in from Charlie Redmond. Ferguson wanting to advance. Tommy Howard says no, back you go. No advantage accruing. Mick Lyons to take it from the ground. Are they to lose their Leinster title at the first hurdle against their great rivals from Dublin? There's a minute of injury time gone now. 1-12 for Dublin, 1-11 for Meath. Sean Kelly trying to sew up an equaliser. It's got to be from here. Stopped by Mick Deegan. Rolling forward. PJ Gillick kicking. Down is in there, and it's hopped high, and it's hopped over the bar. They're level, and PJ Gillick has sewn up this game. It looks like going to a replay. Gillick's second point could so easily have been a goal. Charlie Redmond, I can tell you, off the ball has been...
Mick Deegan's a marvellous defence there, which was intercepted brilliantly by PJ Gillick, and he lobbed a speculative ball towards the goal, which John O'Leary seemed to have covered, but Bernard Flynn jumped at him. I think it bounced clean over the cross, but it could have been in the net just as easily.
Redmond, I was about to tell you, has been taken to ground. The referee Tommy Hard's gone in to check with his linesman to see if he got a good view of the incident. So 1-12 apiece. Looks like being a case of a second game. Jack Sheedy there having words with the referee. But Redmond, who scored 7 points in all in the match, in need of attention, as we have now over 2 minutes of injury time. Dr. Pat O'Neill in there with the St. John's ambulance people. That's the third serious injury he seems to have picked up for the second half, and I think it's a case of get the stretcher out. Dublin have already used up all 3 substitutes. Captain Tommy Carr coming across now just to check on the well-being of the Dublin number 10. But just to go back to that point there by PJ Gillick a moment ago, for a moment I think most Dublin fans up on Hill 16 thought it was headed for the top left-hand corner of John O'Leary's net, and how ironic that would have been. So a sad scene at the end of this match, a game which neither side in truth deserved to lose.
It's a shame when an incident like that, which seems to have happened off the ball, can mar such a tremendous second half, and it's something we can well do without in Gaelic football.
Well, there have been a lot of niggling fouls like that throughout the match. on our tally here, Dublin awarded 23 frees, Meath awarded 29. So I think if my maths are reasonably accurate, that's 52 frees in all. So the end of an afternoon for Charlie Redmond, it seems, from Paddy Cullen's team now down to 14 men in this injury time period. When he was one of the stars, he was at the receiving end of 3 very hefty challenges, that the latest, which has finally resulted in him having to be forced out of the game, which, as I said earlier in the match, is one of the failings of Gaelic football. The niggling fouls, the challenges that come in late and can injure a player, often force him out of work and might even force him out of football for a couple of weeks as well.
That's a sad sight, certainly, Ger, and after such a tremendously exciting second half, it's a shame to see a player who contributed so much having to leave the field in that way.
So Tommy Hard then, wanting the ball brought down, and that is it. An unsatisfactory position for the fans, but they'll have to come back again, as Dublin and Meath will have to resolve it on another occasion, perhaps next Sunday, because it ends here at Croke Park in front of over 51,000 people. Meath 112, still holding on to their Leinster championship from last year. Dublin 112.